All right, let's jump right in. What if I told you the way to solve some of the world's toughest conflicts was to invite your biggest enemies to the negotiating table? It sounds crazy, right? Well, that's the big idea behind this new thing called the Board of Peace. But here's the real question. Is this some kind of genius move for world peace, or is it about to blow up the entire international order as we know it? Let's break it all down.
Okay, this quote right here, a direct slap to NATO. This really gets to the heart of the whole thing. To really wrap your head around what this Board of Peace is all about, you can't just think of it as, another committee. No, you have to see it for what it is, a direct challenge to the alliances that have basically defined global politics for, more than 75 years? It's a big deal. All right, so let's back up just a second. We'll get back to the controversy, I promise. But first, what is this thing? What's the basic idea behind this new Board of Peace?
Okay, so at its core, you can think of it like a foreign policy strike team. The whole point is to cut through all the red tape, all the bureaucracy. The idea is to just skip the endless, stuffy debates you see in traditional diplomacy and instead create this small, nimble group that is laser-focused on just one thing: getting stuff done, making deals, and, chalking up some wins.
And yeah, the goals here they're not small. I mean, for starters, it's about being really aggressive in solving problems. No surprise there. But it's also about putting some serious pressure on the big, established groups, like the UN, to get their act together and be more effective. But maybe the biggest, most radical part? It's all about shaking up the whole system by bringing old enemies together to work on the same problem. That's a game changer.
And this quote from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, it just nails it. He says, this is not just a board of peace. This is a board of action. He's basically saying, look, we've all seen those meetings where everyone just reads from a script and nothing actually happens. This whole thing is designed to be the exact opposite of that. It's meant to be an engine for real, tangible results, not just, empty words.
So the big question is, how do you prove that your board of action actually, acts? Well, they're not exactly starting small. They're not going for an easy first win here. For their very first mission, they're diving headfirst into one of the most difficult, tangled-up conflicts on the entire planet, Gaza.
And the plan they've laid out is incredibly direct. It's a three-step play. Step 1, you bring in a whole new government, a team of experts, what they call a technocratic government. Step 2, you send a crystal-clear message to Hamas, basically saying the train has left the station. This is happening, with or without you. And then there's Step 3, the hammer. If Hamas refuses to disarm, the plan is to back this new government with an Israeli attack to, and I'm quoting here, take out the rest of Hamas.
Okay, but here's where the whole strategy gets, really, really complicated. And it all comes down to one thing. Who exactly is sitting on this board? Who are the people actually supposed to make all this happen?
So think about it. You've got this incredibly sensitive mission in Gaza. Who do you invite to the table to help solve it? This is where the plot really thickens. All right, so on the list of members, you've got some names you might expect, right? Indonesia, Israel. Makes sense. But then there are two other members that immediately set off alarm bells. We're talking about Qatar and Turkey. And apparently, their inclusion made even some close allies do a double take.
In fact, one expert put it really bluntly with this metaphor. The fox is in the henhouse. Now that's a powerful image. And that fox, in this case, is pointing directly at Qatar and Turkey being on a board that's supposed to decide the future of Gaza. So the obvious question is, why? Why would they be seen that way?
Well, here's the massive contradiction, the central paradox of this whole thing. On the one hand, Qatar and Turkey are on the board to help create peace in Gaza without Hamas. But on the other hand, these are the very same countries that have been called patrons of Hamas. I mean, they've allegedly provided money, a headquarters, even training. So what's going on? It seems to be a classic diplomatic strategy. Bring the troublemakers inside the tent. Keep your friends close, and you know the rest. It's a huge gamble, high risk, but potentially high reward.
So that internal tension is a really big deal. But believe it or not, the board's biggest challenge, its most controversial move, comes from a totally different invitation. And this one strikes right at the core of the global order that's been in place since the end of World War II.
Yep. You heard that right. The Board of Peace has officially invited Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, to become a member. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That single move completely changes the game. It reframes what this board is all about and puts it on a direct collision course with a 75-year-old alliance. And this creates a fundamental clash. I mean, think about it. NATO was literally created to be a shield against Russia. And this new Board of Peace, it's rolling out the welcome mat for Russia. But there's an even deeper difference here in how they're built. See, with NATO, once you're in, you're in. There's no formal way to kick a country out. This Board of Peace, though, it's totally different. It's built for maximum flexibility. Membership is basically up to one person who can say, you're fired.
So this all brings us back to the huge central question. Is this a brilliant, bold new way to make peace by basically throwing out the old rule book? Or is breaking all those rules just going to create even more chaos, even more conflict? Honestly, that's the billion-dollar question hanging over this whole thing. And right now, the entire world is watching and waiting to see what the answer will be.